When we think we've seen it all, the bar, well, it just lifts again.
Smith targets the short side. It's all coming out of the trick bag now for Smith.
And if one masterclass wasn't enough, we were treated to another.
And that will get to the boundary. And that will bring up simply a magnificent century for the captain, Matt Short.
And of course, there was the other.
Tugs it away. 3-6 in a row. Maxwell on fire.
Peter Siddle joins us at the desk, and Jordan Silk from the Sixers is our special guest. This is The Surge. Yes, welcome to another edition of The Surge. I'm Adam White, and our co-host today is Peter Siddle. There is so much to talk to Peter Siddle about. Sids, welcome.
Cheers for having me back on, Whitey.
Now, I'm just going to ask you straight up. What are you doing? 145 kilometres an hour, bowling absolute rockets. You're not meant to be doing that at this age.
Yeah, I didn't think I could do it at that age either. But, I guess, I don't know. I guess, I'm fresh. I'm feeling good. I guess that's probably the start. I'm trying to bowl fast, just to make an impact. But, it's definitely coming out a lot better than I probably expected. But, the reason why I don't really know. But, it's feeling good, and it's nice to be back up bowling that speed.
Need to grow the whole long hair again, back to the Dandenong days.
That's what the boys keep saying.
In at 150 at
the necklace, the shell necklace back on and charging in. So, the boys want to go and get one for me before the end. But, not going there. But, like I said, ball coming out well, and, nice to be able to play a part.
Are you having any doubts, any thoughts of maybe I could go around again considering how well you are going?
Definitely not Shield cricket. I'm definitely done with state cricket. Big Bash, we'll maybe wait and see.
Because that was a no only 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it probably was. But go 5 weeks ago and I didn't even have a contract. So I was the last contract in the whole competition. So up until then, I was pretty content. And I didn't play a lot last year. So I hadn't really thought too much in advance. And obviously, with how the ball's coming out, how well I'm going, how I'm feeling, and even the pace that I can with some different prep to get me to that. I'm feeling really comfortable. So who knows? Maybe, but there's a lot of water to go under the bridge before even worry about that side of things. But definitely long term. I'm definitely done with state cricket. That's for sure.
145. Did you think you could get back to that speed? Like, was that totally unrealistic to think that was possible?
I wasn't even thinking about it. That's the thing. I think there's always, everyone goes, oh, you bowl every, like last few years or whatever over the years, it's always, oh, you bowled a bit quicker, like you had a couple of 140s. But predominantly, everyone has this. The Yorkers are predominantly your quicker ball, which everyone, you could go through all the data throughout the games, the Yorkers the quicker ball. So I'd bowl a lot of them, and that would be my quickest ball. And it might be 140, 139 or whatever, and but I think the thing that surprised me most, and especially the last couple of games, is that I've bowled more length balls at fast, and they've been my quickest balls. It's not that, it's not like, oh, I'm bowling a bit quicker, but then the Yorker's even quicker. It's the length ball that's has been my quicker ball, and the one in the mid 140s. So, like I said, I'm feeling good. I'm fresh. I had my brother's wedding that last Shield game, so I got the extra extended couple of weeks rest, really, if you count the lead in before that game. So I'm feeling good, and I think, that's there's obviously something about that, isn't there? Yeah, if the body's feeling good and there's no restrictions, then, who knows where you can get to. And, just happy that it's coming out quicker, but also, that I'm able to play a part and play my role in the team.
Do you find yourself sneaking a look up at the scoreboard to see?
No, the good thing is I used to do that a lot when I was younger, but the good thing is it doesn't really come up. I don't think. So I don't even worry about it, which is probably a better thing, because all I'm thinking is, run in fast and bowl fast. I don't even know which balls are my quicker ones or whatever. I'll have a good feel at times which one might have been quicker and stuff like that. Like, the ball that went through Beffel yesterday and Harpsy missed, that, like, those type of ones, and then you look back and it was. It's probably a good thing not being able to see it, because then it's just about feel, it's about rhythm. And I've always been that. If I've got good rhythm and good feel, that's when I bowl at my best. And like I said, I think that comes on the back of being fresh, feeling good, and playing well also. That helps the confidence. I think, when things aren't going right and you're under pressure, it is a bit harder to find that groove. But I've been able to find that throughout this Big Bash, and it's definitely a good feeling. At my age, it's got a little perk in my step at the moment. So feeling good.
All right, let's get straight into the power play because we'll start with the Melbourne Stars and what you've been able to do. It's quite remarkable. Lose the first 5, win the next 4, and as it stands at the moment, inside the top 4 with a game to go, you've got a long wait until your final home and away game, but in finals calculations, remarkably.
Yeah, it is. I guess New Year's resolution was to try and win one game, and 2025 has been good to us. So it's been a great turnaround. We had to. There was a lot of pressure on us. To make the finals was pretty much going to have to win all 5 now. We've got this pretty much there. We've won the 4, but it's exciting too that now we are the last game. Well, the first game we played a lot early, so we've been ahead of everyone in games, but now. We play the last game. So I think it's been good to put the pressure back on everyone else now. I guess we've done as much as we can and put the pressure back on them and see who can stand up and who will fold over the next week. It's still going to come down to that last game. We're most likely going to have to still win that game to make it. But it's nice other teams having a bit of pressure on them now and not being us for the last it's definitely the last 2 weeks of getting it right.
Speaking to a number of players from the Stars over the last few weeks, they've all said the same thing, that while you weren't winning, you weren't fracturing as a group, things were still very positive inside the group and confidence that things could turn around. Do you agree with that? And then secondly, how were you able to stay positive despite the results?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's from afar, you look at the straight up and it was zipping 5 and you're like, oh, that's a horrendous. How bad are they? But if you break down the matches, that in potentially definitely 3, potentially 4 of those games, we were right in the games and only marginally lose them. So it's not like we're far off. It was just about picking key moments throughout games where we needed to stand up or someone needed to stand up and grab the game, and we couldn't do it and we just miss out. That was with both bat and ball, and even in the field. And so it was just finding those key areas and identifying them sooner and turning it around. And I guess, and since then, we've had individuals with the bat stand up and make big scores to get us into good positions, and similar with the ball. We've been a lot more consistent. We're a lot more settled. We've been able to execute better. We've been able to take more wickets, which in T20 cricket helps a hell of a lot. We're having all-round guys standing up. I think, we've taken a lot of catches and good catches throughout that time. So, we've just turned – it's only a small thing. I think, like you said, it started off with is having that confidence that we're not far away and staying confident and staying relaxed that, if we can turn it around as individuals and stand up for the team, that then overall we'll get the result. And I think that's shown. We've had individuals really stand up, but as a whole group – we've definitely, been able to lift a little bit and get us into those winning positions.
All right, Glenn Maxwell. Now, I'm going to go through some numbers here. I've got to actually look at them to make sure that I get these right. So January 4, 20 not out off 10 balls with 2 sixes, with that partnership with Hilton Cartwright at the end to get you over the line against the Renegades. Then 58 not out from 32 balls against the Sixers. And then under the roof, 90 from 52 balls. And in a test match, knocking back 1s and 2s to keep the strike in a 20-over game in the 13th over. It was some of the most extraordinary batting I've ever seen just against the Renegades, but across what we've seen. Now, we should never be surprised with Glenn watching as a fan, but what's it like as a teammate?
It's remarkable. I think I've been lucky enough to, play alongside him at Victoria and bat with him. I was with him when he made his first 50 down in Tasmania a long time ago, and we were in a lot of trouble, and he got 50 off 19 balls then with a couple of dot balls. So I saw it from an early age. But, to see what he's doing now, I guess, like you said, we shouldn't be surprised because we've all seen him do it. but I think how he does it, like a lot of the time it comes under a lot of pressure. The team tends to be in a lot of trouble and he seems to rise to the occasion, and that's when he seems at his best. You nearly have to say, yeah, boys, just be 4 for 50 today, and then Maxi will come in and finish it off for us. Not the ideal scenario, but he gets the job done. And last night, I think we probably looked when in the 13th, 14th over, he's not taking singles, and we're like, Osama can hold the bat. And then like we've got batters that can at least rotate the strike, take the single, they get a single. But yeah, he backed himself. He picked the bowlers that he wanted to target, and he made the most of it. And I think, incredible to what we only made 167. He's made 90. The next top scorer's about 26. Striking at 100. You're not going to see much better than that in those conditions.
Do you sense it from him before a game or before he walks out to bat that, okay, he's on? Or is it's impossible to tell with him?
No, you never know. I think because he is so unpredictable in when it happens and how it happens, you never know. And I think it tends to be, like I said, that it's when you're in the worst positions that it happens. So, yeah, you're not thinking before the day's play, Maxi's on today. It tends to be when, the boys start talking about it. Like last night, we're 5 or 6 for whatever, or 7 for 50, I think, at one stage. That it's like, tonight's the night. He could have one of those innings. And it's those timings that I think he probably feels it too, that now, he's nicknamed the Big Show for a reason, and I think that's when he rises to the occasion. And he's done it many times for Australia, many times in the Big Bash. Like last night, that's, some just amazing batting, amazing shots, but the cricket smarts to go with it. Not to take singles, but to be able to get a single off every ball at the end to retain the strike, because Osama had hardly faced the ball. But then, to have the calmness to take 7 off and over when you're thinking, mate, we need 15s, but then take the next one for 20, 25, because he knew he could do it. That's why he saved it for that bowler. So, his cricket smarts and the way he goes about it, it's just a different level.
I think that's the key. He knows he can do it. So he's got this incredible self-belief that fielders to him he doesn't even see the fielders.
No.
He just sees where he's going to hit the ball up into the crowd. It still is hard to comprehend what he does. The one final one on him, and it's probably with Stoinis as well, because there's been a lot of talk around why are they held back? Why don't they go higher up the order? And the same can be said about Tim David. The same can be said probably about even Will Sutherland at the Renegades, and there's other countless examples as well. But is it because of what they can do in the back end, changing the momentum of a game, winning the game, that it gets done in the last 10? Is that why they're held back a little bit?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the actual, the data and the and how that how that looks with it. But I think, like I just said, I think if they come in at 3 for 30 or 2 for 20 and have to play a different style of game to start, and they nick off, then they're frustrated. So I guess the game situations change if they're batting up the order to if they're coming in trouble or later with less balls. So Maxi would still come in if we were flying and we'll twofer. I'm sure Maxi, would be still coming in the 12th over. We wouldn't be waiting until we're 4 down or whatever for him to come in. But I think that timing, it definitely suits him, and it has for Australia. It has in some of his. I know he's had some unbelievable innings at the top of the order in the Big Bash. But yeah, there's to have players like you said, him and Tim David, the way they go about it late. There's not many players that can do that in the whole world. So to have someone in your own team that can do that, you've got to try and make the most of that. And I think that's where we've benefited. Yeah, like you said, those 3 previous games, the contributions he's had at different levels have all been the last 2 definitely match winning, and the one before that just as match winning with it was only 20 off 10 or whatever, but to get us to where we are and over the line, shows what he can do and how destructive he can be in that role. And I know we're going to discuss Tim David a bit more coming up. That yeah, it's a big role to play, and it's a very hard one to do, and not many can. So it's hard to toss up, but I like Maxi coming in later, that's for sure.
Okay, let's whiz through the other power play topics for the episode. The strikers. Matt Short breaks his toe or toes, whatever it is. He couldn't play and then comes straight back out and makes 100. And we haven't seen him do that like he has done in previous seasons until we saw it the other night. Chris Lynn got going as well. I mean, destructive batting. But what's it like as a bowler? Now, I know he's been a teammate of yours at the Strikers, but when they're going like that, does it get to a point where it is actually unstoppable?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially the first 4 overs when they are going like that, when you've only got 2 out, it's, where do I bowl now? It's a bit easier to an extent when you've got 5 out because you at least know where you want them to hit. But if they're going, like guys like Short and Linny, if they're going no different to, Maxi and wherever the fielders are, they're just going to hit it over them. Like they're not worrying where they are. They're just like, there's the ball. I'm going to smack it over the fence. Like, so it's hard. It's impossible. It comes down to that execution and having an idea of, the ball you want to bowl and matching that to your field. Now, if it goes for 6, so be it. But that's all you can do. You just got to back your skill set, bowl the ball, and if they get it, they get it. That's T20 cricket. And, I think Adelaide Oval, that's a ground that once the game starts getting away from you, it can really get away from you. And I think the other night was that prime example, that partnership up front, and then Shorty to continue on and get the score and, 250 to finish. That's, remarkable to get up to that total. But, I love seeing Shorty go. Like you said, he was my teammate, and when he got going, there's not many better to watch.
Jordan Silk is our special guest, so we can sort of narrow our focus on the Sixers when he joins us. But with Steve Smith, now, a bit different and similar. Obviously destructive, he gets 120, but does it differently to a Short or to a Maxwell or to a David, those big hitters. Does he cease to amaze with what he does? Or again, you've seen so much of it, it's the same thing?
A little bit more so in the fact that he's predominantly playing red ball cricket still. So he's playing test matches and just the roll in, like everyone else we've been preparing for T20 cricket. We're in big bash mode. We're preparing. That's how we're ready for. So we know what's coming and what's next. But he's just playing a test series. So he's not thinking about playing a game for the Sixers yet. Finished the series. He's tired. And out he comes and does that. Yes, we know he can do it, but just the ease that he does it at. And he's different to those guys. He does it in a different way. Those other guys think wherever they pitch the ball, I'll just hit it over the fielder and over the fence, it'll be 6. Smitty can do that, but he's thinking the other way. He likes to show off a little bit in the fact that where you don't have fielders, that's where I'm going to hit the ball. So he'll play some shots that you think, like, how has he done that? And that's what excites me to turn onto the TV and watch is seeing him do that. And he just picks them off. Any gaps you have in the field, he will hit the ball there. You miss a little bit and he'll carve it away. And that innings, we'll be able to discuss it with Silky, but that innings was amazing the other night.
So does that sort of batting frustrate you or torture you more as a bowler than just the sheer power? Because you feel, hang on a sec, that ball's not meant to go there, or that ball's not meant. I've just bowled a good ball there. You can't do that. Is he sort of one that's going to get you more frustrated than just the power?
Yeah, definitely. I think they're the ones you're like, oh, I wish I had more fielders. Or where am I going to put them? Because even though you're bowling the ball to the field that works, he's still trying to hit it into one of those gaps. So they do frustrate you more. At least if they're hitting it over a man in the field, you're like, okay, I can change up or bowl a bit off pace, bowl a little bit wider, or I can adjust a little bit. And, they're not going to connect every ball. They'll hit it down their throat. But, Smitty, because he is hitting it in different spots, that frustrates you a hell of a lot more. And those are the ones you definitely think a lot more about and have to have better plans for.
All right, let's get on to the Hurricanes now. We've sort of been speaking about the Hurricanes now on this show for quite a few weeks because of the great blend of player that they've got. A bit of a theme in this episode is around the power hitter with Tim David. He's another one that there's no ground in the world that's big enough for him when he gets going. He is something special.
Oh, he is. And what a perfect home ground to have for him. You know, Bellerive or Ninja Stadium nowadays. But, what a place. Like, it's a beautiful batting wicket. It's not the biggest ground all round. There's usually a short side there. It is a great place to play and suits him down to a T. And he's now become accustomed to it. It is a home to him. He's been there for a while now. And he's making the most of those boundaries. But it doesn't matter what ground he's playing on. He's hitting it over the boundary. He's not caring about fielders or anything like that. He just sees ball, hit ball. He's been destructive this year. And like you said, we've still got to play them last game. So, we'll have to have some plans around that when that comes.
All right. So let's narrow our focus now even further and talk about the importance of the power surge. Now, we've got some numbers here. And Tim David, he heads the list of strike rates inside the surge. Now, this is real. So Tim David's faced 24 balls in the surge for 85 runs at a strike rate of 354, 8 sixes and 8 fours. 16
boundaries out of 24 balls.
That's right. So it's fair to say he's on top of the table. James Bazley is next. He's only faced 7 balls and he's scored 29 runs, so that's not too bad. Then you've got James Vince. He's third. He has 35 runs from 13 balls. And then again, a bigger sample size here with Moses Enriquez, 38 runs from 16 balls. And Max Bryant, who's become a bit of a surge specialist, 68 runs from 30 balls. So it just shows that the Hurricanes and the Sixers particularly, they've got 3 of the top 4 when it comes to runs scored in the surge. And they're 2 of the best teams, if not the best 2 teams in the competition. So it really is a weapon for these players.
Yeah, it is. And I think even just looking at our team is the game now, the better we've played, the better we've done in the surge as well. So it is. The better teams have found a way a bit quicker than others. I don't think everyone knows how exactly to go about it because it is so unique. But teams are definitely making the most of it. And I think it is about taking it with your key players. You're always taking it most of the time within batters, but it's probably specific to, targeting key players. And I think that's where, the Sixers have always been, I think, very dominant in that with the bat. They've had key players that they take it with. They tend to take it a bit earlier because, obviously the top-end players, they're able to bat through, but they've got good players in when it comes.
It does feel that they've got not the advantage because all teams have got the ability to do this, but they've got an established player that will score minimum of 50 in the top order. So they can take it when there is an established batsman there.
Yeah, definitely. And then you've got Moses coming in at, sort of 3, 4, 5, coming in around when to take it. So he's in there with an established batter. That makes it a hell of a lot of hard work. We'll speak to Jordan in a minute, but him coming in as well there, who's not the big power hitter, but he's got the tricks. He can find gaps. I think it's showing that at this season that the power's winning out this year. I guess a lot of those guys there are straight up power hitters, and very destructive when going.
So you often bowl one of the surge overs. How differently do you bowl in the surge compared to the power play in the top 4, or is it exactly the same?
I think it's predominantly exactly the same, but with you lose few of your fielders, don't you? You go back to those 2 fielders out, so you have to be a bit more, specific with the line or the length you're bowling. But you've still got all your tricks, ready to go. And then it just depends on pitch conditions, the batters that are in, and how you go about it, the ground you're at. Like, there's a lot of stuff to think about.
Are you good at remembering the data in your head of where they will hit you historically, or are you more going on gut feel of how the game is being played?
I know where players want to play, but I've always been that I want people to hit the ball where my fielders are. So I'm trying to dictate where I want them to hit it.
Yep.
As much as the batter's wanting to hit in certain spots. So I'll have the fielders in places that I want, and then it's about me executing. I think it just comes back to that execution and preparation and being prepared for it, how well it goes. And, it changes all the time, like the pitch conditions and the grounds. Some games I can bowl loads of slow balls and, You can bowl all loads of Yorkers. Other games I might just bowl all length, which the last couple of wickets, that's how it's suited. I've literally bowled pretty much, 12 length balls
An express pace.
in the last two games. But then you'll go to the deaf and you'll be bowling slower balls and Yorkers. So it depends on who's the batters are and what you're facing. But it's daunting. It's nerve wracking. It's the most nervous I feel for any over I bowl throughout a match. And there's always a lot of thought that goes into it.
All right, so just those numbers again on Tim David. He has faced 24 balls in the surge through the course of the tournament to this point. 85 runs at a strike rate of 354. So it's nearly 4 runs a ball with 8 sixes and 8 fours. That's balls per boundary, 1.5. So two of every, It's
I don't think as a bowler, I don't really want to be looking at those numbers. I might get rid of that shit, so I don't have to see it ever again.
I don't think so. Before we're joined by Jordan Silk, something that we did a lot through the WBBL is a thing called Caught My Eye. Now, this is something that, again, beggars belief, really. So Liam Haskett is bowling his first game in the BBL. He's all nervous. His parents are in the crowd. He bowls a short ball at the Adelaide Oval that gets smacked into the stands, and who catches it? His dad. Have you seen anything like that before in your life?
I don't think. That stuff just doesn't normally happen. I remember there's something that got close to it. I remember playing a game at Adelaide, and one of the ex-Adelaide players, he's on contract for a short time. Nick Benton, I think his name was. Yeah, he was on his Bucks do in the crowd and took a catch in his Bucks do. So. It's up there, but not, son, dad, that's not happening. That wouldn't have happened since the days in the backyard, I wouldn't have thought.
I was going to say, is in the backyard or maybe playing club cricket where dad's nervously walking laps watching his son bowl. That one might have gone down a long on while he's walking the dog, but not in the crowd of 40,000 people catching the ball.
I don't think that's what you want, but it might bring a smile to your face a little bit for getting hit for 6 that your dad took a good catch in the crowd, but that was a day of catches because, the Sydney game before that, there was a load of sixes and everyone was holding them. It was unbelievable.
They had plenty of opportunities. There were 45 sixes hit across the 2 games on Saturday and Saturday night at the SCG and the Adelaide Oval. Novak Djokovic in the crowd watching your game the other night in the Melbourne Derby. Who's the most famous person that you can remember that's ever gone to watch you play cricket?
I think Lord's Test matches were probably always the big one there. There was always, Mick Jagger, loved coming and watching cricket. Hugh Jackman was always one to pop in. Obviously the Queen.
Doesn't get much.
Yeah, back then, and it was always there for day one. So I've been pretty lucky to play in front of some big ones. But it was actually funny. Last night we're sitting in the rooms and that came up. Stoyan gets out and they show the footage of him and Ducky was sitting next to me and he's like, oh, gee, if I knew he was here, I would have batted for a bit longer. So I think the boys were a bit disappointed to get out with Novak up in there watching him.
I was just a bit worried that Novak left a bit early. It looked like he left before the Glenn Maxwell show, but I'm not sure. Well, maybe he did see it, but it's good to see him there watching the cricket. And there's one that I had to ask you about. Now, this was a free hit. Now, you shouldn't have bowled the no ball anyway, so let's just be clear on that. But the free hit hits the stumps, the zinger bails go flying, but the ball goes for 4. And you get surely it's a dead ball situation or something. That's not fair, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really thought too much about it. You sort of see it go. It's sort of a catch, isn't it? Because it's a free hit, so do you just let it go? It probably. Yeah, because if you run and get caught, you still get the runs completed, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so it's
I don't think there's any way around it.
There's probably not.
At least it doesn't go to your.
But it probably should. In theory, it probably should be a dead ball. But I don't know. Like you said, I shouldn't have bowled the no ball.
You have to at least buy coffee for Sammy through the week because that went down as buys. And then there was that one that you bowled that just took off after it pitched.
Yeah, he missed that though. That was just because it was too fast. But he had a couple of rough ones, didn't he? There last night. But Maxie was probably a bit stiff. There's probably a couple of no balls that he could have had a couple of free hits off that over earlier. But Yeah, a few coffee rounds probably owed from last night's game.
And have you ever bowled a 10-ball over that included 2 wickets? Because that's what happened to Mark Steckety. He could not control the ball.
I think everyone was nervous about that first over, and then you're running through to the net for the next over, and you look up and it's 2 for 6. You're like, gee, that over went for a long time, but didn't really hurt us. It was a great first over in the end, so he did well.
You got 5 for in the end, so it went very well. All right, make sure you have the Big Bash app downloaded to catch up on all the highlights and stay up to date with all the matches as we get into the business end of the tournament. We're into the final week of the home and away season. Everything BBL is at your fingertips in the one place on the Big Bash app. We are going to be joined by Jordan Silk, captain of Tasmania, but one of the stars of Magenta from the Sydney Sixers. He's our guest after this. And welcome back to The Surge with Adam White and Peter Siddle. Our special guest this week is Jordan Silk from the Sydney Sixers. They're a bit boring talking about the Sixers because they're always near the top of the table. As Jordan, welcome for all the way from Sydney. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Whitey. Thanks, Sid. Good to be on.
What makes you so good at the Sixers? What is the secret to success?
Oh, man, it's hard not to look past consistency of personnel, I reckon. I think in my whole time there, we've had 2 head coaches, so Trevor Bayliss and Greg Shippard, 2 great operators, and I've pretty much only played under one captain in Moses. So I think those things, they really help, and particularly coming from outside of the New South Wales group, just that, I guess, clarity of role and just the environment it's comfortable, but still challenging. And just having the core group of players that we've had play together for such a long time now. You have that understanding of what you guys around you are going to do in any given scenario. And I think we've just been incredibly lucky that we've been able to hang on to the guys in the group for as long as we have, and they haven't wanted to leave. So it's really nice coming back up every year.
Okay, Sids, I'll ask you, what's it like playing against the Sixers, and why do you think they're so good?
Yeah, no, I think, it's always a daunting prospect coming up against them. They've been one of the best teams, throughout the whole 14 years to date. So it's always tough. But I'm backing up Geordie with what he had to say there. It is the personnel. I think if you look through their batting lineup, obviously Moses is the key player. But they've had Vincey for a long period as well. Add in Flip at the top there and the gloves. Jordan himself in the middle order. And then you go to their bowlers, Abbott, Dorcius, and Sock, obviously not there now, but that's a pretty big core that throughout those years has been, their mainstay, and they've all been huge performers for them. So I think, that's probably the difference over the years with other teams is, having a good, strong core, especially experienced core. I guess you can have young guys, but having those senior heads around, which they do, definitely makes them always the cream of the crop.
Jordan, just something you said before, I was thinking about this earlier on about the fact there are 2 state captains in the one team with yourself in Tassie and then Moses, New South Wales. I'm fascinating the dynamic of what you do in relation to leadership when Moses is there, how much he relies on you, and even just having those sort of level experienced heads around a group.
To be honest, there's not a hell of a lot. I think Moe will occasionally come to me with, if there's any team ideas or selection, whatever. But a lot of the stuff we tend to talk about is in game, and whether there's a moment in the game to send a pinch hitter in for a bowling change while I'm maybe ducking across the ground quickly. But there's just little conversations that we might have sort of at training. There's probably not a hell of a lot, but I mean, any time we sort of can review games, I think that's, or even preview games, it's where I guess having that leadership is important in our group, and it's something that we can, I think even looking at Ben Menente's in and around our group who's captaining South Australia, so there's leaders sort of all the way. James Vince has captained multiple T20 teams in the past, so we've been really lucky that this season we've got a wealth of captaining experience around, and probably helps in those reviews of games, previews of games where we can sort of identify things. Because I guess we are sort of used to having a collective approach through our leadership and trying to keep an eye on how the rest of the squad are sort of trending, and I guess my probably biggest influence I can have, I feel like, is with our fielding unit and trying to get guys in the right spots and try and take a bit of pressure off Moe, sort of in game. And it's probably as far as it really goes for me. But I think it's probably nice, I guess, for Moe to have those type of guys around that he can sort of lean on, and ask questions of, and feel like he's going to get pretty good answers from.
So you've talked about your relationship with Moses, which is what about yourself, Jordan, to be able to head up to Sydney, to have a break in the middle of the season, not have the pressures of captain, fielding in the infield, making all the decisions, sort of cruising around out in the outfield, and then to be able to bat with freedom. I would imagine it'd be a great circuit breaker for you in the middle of a long domestic season.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. It's it's always come at a really good time. It's felt like. There's probably been some seasons where I felt like we're on a bit of a run down there, and it's tough to sort of get away. But you understand it, like that's just part and parcel of the schedule. You know that it's always around the corner. But yeah, I think as I've sort of captained the last three seasons, I think in Tassie, I certainly appreciate being able to get away and be the player and really focus on my own sort of game. And I guess getting away from sort of the Tassie environment and being into an environment where that's pretty much always been the case up here is really nice. And it certainly feels like it's every year it sort of rejuvenizes me a bit. And but I also think it works twofold. And when I go back, that I'm really energized to finish the season strong with the Tassie boys too, and get really excited by the back end of the season as well. So it works. Yeah, for me, it's I guess it's always been the way. I don't actually know really any different, but I've tended to really enjoy the mix that it's brought me throughout my career.
So while it's a different form of the game, do you think you've become a better player with your experience at the Sixers and the role that you've played there to be not just a better Sheffield Shield player, but just be a better overall cricketer with what you've experienced up at the Sixers?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I sucked in my first few years there, so at the Sixers. So it's good to, and I was sort of probably thrust in it before I was maybe even ready for Big Bash cricket. So I've sort of had to evolve into that middle order role. My fielding was obviously probably highlighted early, but I was really keen, I guess, to make an impression with the bat as the seasons went on. And no doubt, I think, and Sids would agree that, you've got to constantly evolve, I think, in this game with bat and ball. You have one good season and you sort of, teams are looking at data packs around what they're going to do to you next year and things like that. So you've got to constantly have an eye on what teams are trying to do to you and still try and improve those ways. And I still think there's a long way to go for me to try and become that sort of all-round player at 5 that can, not just slap a bit of pace in the surge. It's being able to find the fence first spin and things like that. So there's definitely room where I want to improve and still got the hunger to improve. But I guess that's with age. You find out those sort of things and you get better at sort of dealing with it and trying to practice it as best you can. So, I'd say all in all, it's probably been, it's definitely made me a better rounded cricketer. And it was probably a big factor into, from being an opening batsman in the longer form of the game. And, it was a big factor into my move sort of down in the middle order where I could sort of continue to maybe express myself in that format where I was probably becoming a bit sort of stagnant at the top. And I found that the change between formats was probably, it was quite a big adjustment to go from what I was, doing back then to what I'm now doing in the middle order. So it's certainly simplified things a lot for me in terms of my training, and I try to basically bring a similar approach to all 3 forms of the game now.
It is amazing. Now, you've bowled against Jordan for a long time. It's like when he puts the magenta on, he becomes a totally different player.
It is. I was lucky enough to play with him down in Tassie as well. And
of course, yes.
I think, what he alluded to there about the change from going from the top order opener in red ball cricket to the middle order and playing that, it does simplify things, and it makes just, your planning and your training and preparation a hell of a lot easier. It's, you don't have to adjust too much. And I think if your game plan is like that, you don't have to adjust much at all. And they tend to be the better players in all 3 formats because it is very simplified. And Geordie's done that. He's been, he's been great for Tasmania in one-day cricket, but even in his red ball now, the way he goes about it and the innings he played when I was down there, it doesn't change too much. And I think that's where people probably do come unstuck going from the other formats to T20. They try and change too much. But trying to keep it very similar to what you normally do. You've just got to execute better in T20 cricket and a lot more consistently. And I guess that's where the better players are. And that's what, Jordan's become in the middle order. And like he said, around the surge and back end, he's very dangerous.
So from your point of view, Sid, what has the Big Bash brought to you from a skill set point of view that has made you a better bowler? I mean, you've had, 60, 70 test matches and, over a decade's worth of experience playing first-class cricket, but specifically the BBL. How's it made you a better player, do you think?
I think focusing on preparation and execution, like I said, I think they're the two things. I think for me, it was always, I could always bang a length, so I don't need to practice that. I think when I go to T20 time, it's about practicing, the slower balls, bounces, wide of the crease, bowling them wider, and my Yorkers, whether they're straight or wide, and that's what I focus on in my preparation. And that's my planning. That's all my planning goes into around those, knowing that if I need to run in and bang a length, that's what I do all day, every day throughout the 12 months of the year. So that's the simple stuff, but it's about fine-tuning those, those key change-ups. And, that's definitely what's worked for me. I focused a lot on that when I moved to Adelaide initially and still to today. They're the things I focus on in preparation before games. So it's very simple. My game is very simple, but it's just about executing the main three skills to perfection and try and getting close as that as I can.
Now, Jordan, this might sound a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Were you always an outstanding outfielder, or is this something that's come about because of the role you've been asked to play at the Sixers and you've kind of perfected that outfield role?
I mean, I struggle to think back to like my junior days and stuff when you would go into the outfield, but no, I think I've always had the ability with the field. And it's just probably been, getting thrown into Big Bash at a pretty young age. I knew that it was going to be pretty important for me, if I wanted to hold my position in that Sixers team at the time. I was going to have to do, a fair bit more than what my batting was probably going to do. So I remember working incredibly hard in those early seasons of Big Bash cricket. I mean, we'd do countless fielding drills, I think, with PB at the time, and I just fell in love. Yeah, I fell in love with fielding at a young age, and I've always trained really hard at it. Probably train a little bit smarter now. Don't do as much, but I try to keep the quality in my training. And I think the one thing I've always tried to do along the way is making sure that I'm taking really tough catches at training. Just felt like that would give me the calmness. If it did get chaotic in a game or there was a ball that I think I could get to, then it would give me, it would give me confidence that I could, pull something off. So I've always practiced really well. I feel like with my fielding, and that's given me the ability to feel really calm and confident, I guess, when a ball does go up. So I still take great pride in it. It's nice to be able to, like my dad always said. He said, if you can't, you're not going to always impact games with the bat, but that you're going to be fielding every single game. So if you can find ways to impact in other ways, then that will help the team. And even if I look back to probably my early Sixers years, it absolutely helped me get in the team, because if there was another batter and we were sort of neck and neck, then they'd probably prefer to have the better fielder in. So that's probably one of the reasons why I worked so hard at it when I was young.
Yeah, so fascinating insight. So from people that are listening to this, they might be junior cricketers trying to get a game in a senior team. What are some of the things, you kind of answered it, but what are some of the things that they can do at training on a Tuesday or a Thursday night, or even down at the park with some mates, simple sort of strategies to make you improve quite quickly?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of drills and catching and all sorts of things that you can do. But I mean, the best bit of advice I could probably give to any sort of young cricketer is just bring a really good attitude and a want to be better at it. Because because that's all I really do. I see fielding a lot of time, and Sid, you'd probably agree. Fielding is like all attitude, and that's what we talk about in teams is like just bring a good attitude and have a real want to get the ball, have a real want to be in the play. Like I tell kids when they ask me, they go, oh, what sort of tips? And I'm like, just expect the ball. Expect the ball at all times. That way you're just anticipating it. You move well. You see it early, things like that. So there's a lot of drills out there. It's hard for me to sort of recommend any that I do, but I'm sort of just trying to catch running to my left, catch running to my right, catch running back, catch running forward, just tough catches in order to make you feel like you can sort of do it when the pressure's on. So they're just little things that I sort of, when we see kids and stuff at games, they're just things I sort of tell them. It's fielding is attitude, and you've got to expect the ball and practice difficult catches.
Pretty good tips as far as I'm concerned. So tell us about Steve Smith. Do you get surprised anymore with what he can do when you're sitting there either waiting to bat, or you might have already batted, or even out there with him in the middle?
Oh, man, it's hard to now, isn't it? Like he's, the last 6 hits, I reckon, in Big Bash cricket, he's got maybe 300s. Harder for me to enjoy it the other night, just being in next for a lot of that and just sort of like, oh, I'm waiting for something to go up and I'm going to be in next. So it was hard to properly enjoy it, and probably until he was maybe in the 90s. But, yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing what he can do. Like that's a pretty good Perth attack, and he's completely dismantled it. All their quicks, went for bulk runs, who are, high quality fast bowlers, for a long time in BBL cricket. But just the skill. There is so much skill there. It's not funny. Like the balls that he's able to lift over point, backward point, and then bat left-handed and pop a couple of sixes that way too. Like he's literally just come off a test summer, and to walk out in your first hit, you could be excused for thinking, he might need an innings or two to sort of get into gear. But yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because he did it a few years ago. But it's you're still never really sure when he's coming back in. And personally, I find the adjustment from 4-day cricket into T20 cricket probably takes me like a week or so to feel like I'm in rhythm. But to do it only days after a 5-test summer to pull out something like that is, it's pretty remarkable. We're very lucky that we get to share the change room with him, and he's and how much he loves being a part of the Sixers franchise. We're lucky, and there's no real superlatives for what he was able to do the other day.
So when he comes back in, is he kind of quiet and just sort of does his batting and that's it, or does he come in and say, right, okay, this is how we're going to do it? I'm really interested when he comes in and it's only as a sort of a guest appearance. He has obviously a massive impact on the scoreboard, but what's he like around the group when he first arrives?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't actually get to see him until we were going into the change room for that game because we'd just come back from Melbourne. We had no training the day before. So I didn't get an opportunity to see him until day of the game. I mean, he just fits in like a glove. Like he's really good mates, I guess, with a lot of the guys that are in that team already. So it just feels like business as usual, really, for Steve. And he was. I was probably actually surprised because I actually went to the Nets at a similar time to him, and I was thinking, God, I might not get a hit here. Like, is this going to be? This could be a lengthy hit, and I won't get one in. But I was really surprised. He only hit for probably like 5 to 7 minutes. And he was like, yep, I'm ready. Good to go. And I was like, geez, okay. I was expecting a lot more. And clearly he was. Clearly he knows his game a lot better than what I know his game. So, in terms of like him fitting in and around the group, it's a group that's been together for so long, and we've been, I guess, used to having Steve sort of come back for these, like you say, sort of guest appearances. And he's always been really well welcomed within our group. So, we love having him around, and we'd love it even more if he could play a bit more for us. But we're lucky that we've got him for our last 2 games, and hopefully he can catapult us into that top 2 spot.
He'll still be playing for the Sixers well into his 40s, so you've still got a lot of Steve Smith, I reckon, in magenta. So from your point of view, bowling to him, you've bowled to him in the nets with the Australian Test setup for a long time, but in a game situation, How do you keep your composure when you see balls that can get hit to the fence or over the fence from such unusual positions? How do you stay composed and not get frazzled?
Well, it's hard. I think, like Geordie said, he did it against, potentially the best bowling attack we've seen in the Big Bash for an extended period of time. He destroyed them all. And I don't watch a lot of cricket, but I tuned in the other day and pretty much watched his last 50 or 60 runs because, like Geordie said, it's exciting to watch. He just hits the balls. I know we all think, all batters think like this. They want to hit the ball where the fielders aren't. But it's not as easy as just hitting the ball there. But watching him do it, he does it with ease. And I think, the shot that just comes to mind, and then Geordie brought it up, is I don't know if people realise how hard it is to, even if there's pace, to hit the ball behind square and even more to third man with the face of the bat. Like he does it with the face of the bat, which by the time you get the angle on it, there's not much of a face of a bat to actually hit it in that direction. And he did it, a handful of times the other night, and you're just like, how has it got there and that pace? And like he just hits it beautifully. And I think that shows, the control he has of his bat and of his hands, and how well he sees the ball, because not many people have ever been able to do that. And to come in from red ball cricket, like we discussed earlier, and to adjust straight away, go bang. Like Geordie said, he's out of the last 6 innings, 3 centuries, but I think there's another 50 in there as well in one of them. To do what he does is, it's tremendous. And like I said, I turned it on. I viewed it. The crowd was big at the ground. I'm sure there would have been loads of people around the country tuning in because it's great to watch. And, thankfully, I didn't have to bowl against him. So that's always a bonus, and I haven't for years. But, it's obviously I have an idea how to bowl to him with the red ball, but, there'd be a lot more planning would go into it to bowl with the white ball because, he's hitting balls where they shouldn't be going. So, it's hard work, and that's where it comes down to preparation and execution. Under pressure, it's hard, and we saw the best the other night struggle a lot against him when he was firing.
So, Jordan, when you're watching Steve Smith, but as we were talking about before, it feels like the guns have really come to play this tournament, particularly over the last couple of weeks. Matt Short, Glenn Maxwell with what he's been able to do. Do you sit there in awe of what even though you're part of the scene, you're part of the star attractions, do you still sit there and go, this is just crazy what's going on at the moment?
Yeah, certainly. It's been a good week, I think, of Big Bash cricket. We've had, like you said, Steve and Shorty and Glenn really fire in the last week. And, when those three, I think, are at the top of their game, there's not a lot of areas you feel like you can bowl to them at. So, it's Glenn, I guess, is probably like, Steve's innings was incredible the other night, but like Glenn and the way he's able to manipulate fields and hit to different areas as well. Like we saw it. He only got sort of 50 odd not out against us, but that was a game-winning innings as well. So just that match-winning ability that those guys have, they're all sort of different in their own way, but like the way that they can clear the pickets so easily. Effortlessly is it's incredible to watch. And definitely like a bit of envy, and like you sort of be like, well, geez, it'd be nice if I was able to sort of pull off something like that. So there's certainly some freaks out there, but that's what's great about the Big Bash. Feels like it's been a really great tournament. That we've seen some high scores, we've seen some great bowling. It's been one of the more sort of enjoyable, memorable seasons that I think I've ever sort of watched, and I think that probably rings true when I think of like I get to 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm just ready for the next game to roll around. Like I've absolutely loved watching the other games and being a fan in those, and there's always someone from every team that you're really looking forward to seeing bat. So I take joy in sitting back on the couch and watching those players go about it.
Can you get into a trap of wanting to bat like them, or is it actually something you can actually take notice of? I actually think I could understand what they're trying to do there. That's something perhaps I can bring into my own game. I'm interested in, perhaps trying too much versus giving it a go.
Yeah, there's definitely things that you try and take away and you go, geez, wouldn't mind being able to hit that length there somewhere, or trying something different or lapping or whatever it is. I mean, I'll probably take this back to conversations that I've had with Shippy over the years around there's two ways to skin a cat, and he's always talked about just sticking true to your guns, and I think that's only really one thing that I've maybe got better at as I've played a bit longer is just having a really good understanding of what I do really well, and that's not going to look the same as what Glenn Maxwell does. It's not going to look the same as what Matt Short or Steve Smith does. Like, it's going to look completely different, but having the belief that I can still get the job done, and that's probably just with age that I've been able to sort of take that all on board. Don't worry, there's certainly some envy of what guys can do, and I'd love to be able to do it. But I've got to trust my own skill set. It's why I'm in the team. And yeah, I think that's probably a trap that certainly, I probably got into when I was younger about trying to evolve too quickly and try and take on too many shots, because it can get pretty cloudy when you're trying all sorts of things. So that's certainly a trap that I feel like you could easily get into as a young player. But it's also really important to stick to what's got you to where you are, because that will still hold you in good stead. And we can obviously get jealous of what other players can do, but keep believing in the skill set that you've got, and back that will work in a completely different way to how it works for other players. So yes, there are moments when you think that, but I think I've played enough now where it's like, just trust what you do, and it's going to look different, and don't get jealous or whatever, but just keep playing it that way.
Okay, you've got Adelaide to come, and then Friday night you've got the smash in Sydney. And we saw how many people turned up at the SCG the other night, but arguably it's going to be a packed house. Smith, Warner, yourself as well, of course, but just the rivalry between the two Sydney teams. It might not get much bigger than this.
No, and I mean, I think the way the ladder's probably setting up, both teams are, looking like, I think if the Thunder win tonight, then they're going to be desperate, I guess, for a top 2 spot as well. So there's going to be plenty riding on Friday night, I think, regardless. So that makes it really exciting. David Warner's scoring runs, Steve Smith scoring runs. If that can't pull kids through the gates in Sydney, then I don't know what will. So, yeah, we're expecting quite a big turnout. I was, pleasantly surprised. We had over 30,000 there against the Scorchers. That's what I'm putting down to the Steve Smith effect. And, you add David Warner on top of that, it's going to be awesome. It's such a great spectacle there at the SCG. I think feels like the last few derbies we've had there have been, close to sellouts. So, being a round 10 fixture, plenty on the line, I'd expect it to be as full as what we saw for the test matches. So that's going to be, awesome spectacle for us to play in. And, to have those players, I guess, on showcase is really exciting for the fans, because, we're not sure how much longer they'll be around to play Big Bash cricket. So that's, a really good opportunity for all the families and all that to get out there and show their support for some bloody good cricket that's going to be on there. So, but we've got a job to do in Adelaide first. So,
last one. Do you think this team's got it to win it again? Obviously, you just fell short last year, but you've been thereabouts now for a number of years. This team's going to be slightly different, even though largely the nucleus is there. Do you feel you've got a team this year that can do it?
Yeah, I really do. There'll be challenges. We'll lose some players, I think, for finals. So we're going to have to dig deep into our squad. When we lose Sean, Todd, and Steve, to Sri Lankan series. So depth will be tested. But like Moe always says, and Chippy always says, we've got to have 18 game-ready players on our list, and we'll certainly be testing that come finals. But like you said, there's still plenty of experience within that group, and felt like there's been a real hunger this year after the disappointment of last year. It felt like that was a really golden opportunity for us to register another title, and we weren't able to do it. We were beaten quite comfortably by the better team on the night in the heat, and we're really keen to right some wrongs there. And it's a hungry group. Every time I get back here, it's regardless of what sort of happened the year before, it's there's still that desperation within to get to finals, and then from there on, it's, as we hear from other codes, it's a new season again, and you sort of go up another gear, and we're all chomping at the bit to get there and put our best foot forward and try and nab another title, which would be be really special.
Well, Jordan, it's great chatting to you. It's always great to talk cricket with you. Good luck for the remainder of the home and away games, and then obviously into a final series yet again. Really appreciate your time on the Surge.
All right, thanks, Whitey. Thanks, Diddy.
Cheers, Jordan.
Jordan Silk joining us, and to Peter Siddle, the speed machine, thank you for joining us. And who knows, you've got a little while to wait as to whether you'll be playing finals or not, but hopefully there's still plenty more games left in you in the green.
Cheers, Whitey.
Peter Siddle joining us as our special co-host, and of course our special guest, Jordan Silk. That is it for us for The Surge for this episode, but make sure you tune in again a little bit later this week.